As we age, we often hear that wisdom comes with the passing years, but does it really? While aging undoubtedly presents its own set of challenges, the truth is that the biggest hurdles might not come from within your body or your health. Surprisingly, they can stem from the people around you. Yes, even those closest to you can sometimes be more of a hindrance than a help. It's not always easy to admit, but certain individuals in your life may actually be draining your energy or holding you back as you step into your golden years. Imagine this. What if avoiding just a few types of people could significantly improve your well-being and peace of mind? Sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Let me walk you through the 5 types of people you should distance yourself from as you age. Some might seem obvious, while others may catch you off guard, especially the last one on the list, which will undoubtedly leave you surprised. But don't worry, this isn't all serious business. Aging is a journey filled with humor, irony, and those little moments of truth we all come to recognize. It's a mix of funny, frustrating, and enlightening experiences, and navigating it with the right people around you can make all the difference. So, sit back, relax, and maybe even grab a snack as we dive into this insightful and entertaining exploration of the relationships that can either enrich or complicate your later years. Together, we'll uncover some laugh-out-loud scenarios, relatable truths, and a few cringeworthy realities that come with growing older, especially when surrounded by the wrong kind of company. Meet Eleanor, a vibrant and independent woman in her 70s who has always lived life on her own terms. Eleanor has spent decades mastering the art of self-sufficiency, whether it's managing her household, whipping up delicious meals, or fixing the occasional squeaky door hinge. She's never been one to wait for help. Why would she, when she's perfectly capable of doing it all herself? But when her son David decided to move back home for a while, Eleanor's world took an unexpected turn. At first, Eleanor welcomed the idea with open arms. After all, David had always been her pride and joy, and having him around promised quality bonding time, catching up over coffee, reminiscing about old times, and sharing laughs. But what started as a heartwarming reunion quickly turned into a test of patience. David, eager to show how much he cared for his mom, took it upon himself to be her helping hand at every opportunity. Before Eleanor could reach for a book on her shelf or lift a basket of laundry, David would swoop in, determined to assist. "Mom, let me get that for you. You shouldn't have to do this stuff anymore," he'd insist, his tone filled with concern. Even tasks as small as fetching a cup of tea became moments where David took over, leaving Eleanor feeling a mix of amusement and frustration. At first, Eleanor brushed it off, telling herself it was just David's way of expressing love. But as the days turned into weeks, his constant hovering began to wear on her. She hadn't asked for this level of help, nor did she feel like she needed it. The independence she had fiercely guarded for years was suddenly under siege, and it wasn't her health or age doing the damage. It was her son's well-meaning but overzealous attentiveness. David's actions weren't malicious. They came from a place of love. But Eleanor couldn't shake the feeling that his behavior was slowly eroding her confidence. Tasks she had been doing for decades now felt like privileges being stripped away. It wasn't just about the chores, it was about her dignity, her identity, and her freedom to live life on her terms. One day, after David rushed to grab her gardening gloves before she could even step outside, Eleanor decided it was time for a heart-to-heart. She sat him down with her characteristic warmth and humor and said, "David, I love that you care so much, but I've been taking care of myself for over 70 years. I've got this. Let me enjoy the little things, okay?" David, initially surprised, realized how his actions might have been making his mother feel. He apologized and promised to take a step back while still being there when Eleanor truly needed him. This conversation was a turning point for both of them. Eleanor felt her independence reaffirmed, and David learned the value of offering help without overstepping. Aging doesn't mean surrendering your independence. It's about finding the balance between accepting care and holding on to the freedom that defines you. For Eleanor, this moment reminded her that it's okay to set boundaries with loved ones, even when their intentions are good. And for David, it was a lesson in respecting his mother's autonomy, allowing her to thrive in her golden years on her own terms. Meet Harold, a spirited man in his late 70s who has always believed in the mantra, "Life is meant to be lived." Harold has a passion for staying busy, whether it's tending to his vegetable garden, fixing up his vintage car, or taking long walks through his neighborhood. He's never been one to sit still for long, and he wouldn't have it any other way. But lately, his well-meaning granddaughter, Emily, has been on a mission to keep him off his feet. Every time Harold picks up a spade to plant new flowers or reaches for his toolbox to tinker with a broken shelf, Emily appears with a concerned look. "Grandpa, you shouldn't push yourself. Just relax. You've earned it," she says, often gently taking the tools out of his hands. While Harold knows Emily's intentions come from a place of love, her constant hovering feels more like a leash than support. Harold loves his granddaughter dearly, but her persistent reminders to take it easy have started to feel suffocating. He understands that she worries about his well-being, but what Emily doesn't realize is that staying active is what keeps him feeling alive. Gardening, fixing things, and staying on his feet aren't just hobbies. They're what give him purpose and joy. One afternoon, as Harold was hauling a bag of soil to his backyard, Emily rushed out with a worried expression. "Grandpa, let me do that. You should be resting," she insisted, trying to take the bag from him. Harold sighed, set the bag down, and turned to her with a smile. "Emily, sweetheart, I know you mean well, but I've been doing this my whole life. Staying active isn't just something I do, it's who I am. If I stop now, I'll feel like I'm losing a part of myself." Emily paused, finally seeing the frustration behind her grandfather's warm demeanor. She realized that her efforts to protect him might have been unintentionally undermining his sense of independence. From that moment on, she made a conscious effort to support Harold without overstepping, offering help only when he asked for it. For Harold, this shift meant everything. He didn't mind the occasional assistance, but he needed to know that he was still in control of his life. Being told to rest constantly had started to make him feel like a spectator in his own story, a feeling he wasn't willing to accept. As Harold often says, life doesn't stop just because you get older. You keep moving, keep doing what you love, and that's how you stay young at heart. Aging isn't about sitting still and watching the world go by. It's about finding joy and purpose in every day. For Harold, that joy comes from the little things, digging into the earth, hearing the engine of his car purr to life, and walking through his neighborhood, soaking in the fresh air. The next time someone in Harold's life tells him to rest, he'll simply smile and remind them that rest is only one part of the equation. Staying active, doing what you love, and embracing life with open arms, that's the real secret to aging gracefully. Harold may be in his golden years, but he's far from slowing down. For him, the journey is just as exciting as ever, and he's determined to keep living it his way. Meet Clara, a lively 82-year-old who has mastered the art of living life on her own terms. Her days are filled with simple pleasures, baking her favorite recipes, enjoying the view from her porch, and losing herself in the pages of a good mystery novel. Clara treasures her quiet, self-sufficient lifestyle and has never felt the need to have people around constantly to feel fulfilled. Enter her granddaughter Sophie, a thoughtful but overly concerned young woman. Sophie calls Clara every other day, starting the conversation with the usual pleasantries, but inevitably circling back to the same question. "Grandma, are you sure you're okay all by yourself?" Clara always responds with warmth, saying, "Yes, Sophie, I'm perfectly fine. I love my space." But Sophie doesn't seem convinced. "But Grandma," Sophie continues, "don't you get lonely? You're always by yourself. Maybe I should move in or at least visit more often." At first, Clara appreciated Sophie's concern, but as these conversations became routine, they began to feel less like caring and more like guilt trips. The problem isn't that Clara doesn't love Sophie or value her visits. She does. The issue is the assumption that her solitude is something to be fixed, as though being older means she should automatically need company to feel complete. For Clara, her peaceful life is far from lonely. It's exactly what she enjoys, a space to think, to relax, and to savor the little joys of each day. Clara often wishes Sophie could see that solitude isn't a void to be filled, but a choice she's made to live with intention and contentment. The constant pressure to accept more company feels like a dismissal of her ability to understand and meet her own needs. It's like when people see someone eating at a restaurant alone and assume they must be sad, not realizing that they might simply enjoy their own company. Clara doesn't see her independence as a problem, and she doesn't want others to treat it as one. One day, after another well-meaning but slightly frustrating phone call, Clara decided to speak up gently. "Sophie, sweetheart, I appreciate your love and concern, but I need you to understand that I'm happy. My life might not look busy or bustling, but it's full of the things I enjoy. I'm not lonely. I'm content." Sophie, taken aback, finally paused to consider her grandmother's words. She realized her attempts to help might have been unintentionally dismissing Clara's happiness. From that day, Sophie made an effort to support her grandmother without pushing her own expectations onto her. For Clara, this was a relief. Aging doesn't mean giving up your preferences or being forced into situations that don't align with your values. It's about embracing your freedom, enjoying the life you've built, and living in a way that feels true to you. So the next time someone questions her solitude, Clara will smile and simply say, "I'm not alone. I'm with myself, and that's all I need." Because for Clara, the best part of her golden years is the ability to live peacefully, unapologetically, and guilt-free. Meet Rose. She's 80 years old, and though she's always kept up with the times in her own way, she's perfectly content with her trusty vintage radio. Rose loves her music, the crackling sound of the news reports, and the simple joy of tuning into her favorite radio station. It's nostalgic, familiar, and comforting. Everything she needs to keep in touch with the world around her. But every time her daughter comes for a visit, it's the same thing. "Mom, you really should get with the times. You're missing out on podcasts, online streaming, and so much more." Her daughter's voice is filled with excitement as she tries to convince Rose that upgrading to a smart speaker or a tablet will open up a whole new world of entertainment and convenience. Rose just chuckles and shakes her head. While she loves her daughter and appreciates the technology advancements, she's not interested in gadgets that come with apps, updates, or the endless world of options. She's happy with the simplicity of her old radio, and it's enough for her. The thought of navigating through apps or learning to stream movies and music doesn't appeal to her. It all feels too overwhelming. But no matter how many times Rose politely declines, her daughter keeps trying to convince her. "Mom, with a smart speaker, you can ask for the weather, play any song you want, and even order groceries online." Rose smiles, nodding, but in her heart she knows she's perfectly fine with what she has. The radio brings her joy, and that's what matters most. Here's the thing, technology is amazing, but not everyone needs to jump on every trend. Just because streaming services offer unlimited options doesn't mean Rose wants to clutter her life with a constant stream of choices. The simplicity of her radio brings her peace, and that's what makes her happy. When family members push their love for new gadgets on you, it can start to feel like they're assuming you're missing out on something important. But the truth is, the technology they love isn't always the best fit for everyone. Sometimes all you need is what works for you, whether that's a radio, a book, or a simple phone call. So the next time her daughter insists that Rose should try a smart speaker or download a new app, Rose will gently remind her that happiness doesn't come from the latest tech. It comes from the things that truly bring comfort and joy, whether it's a radio, a warm cup of tea, or the sound of birds chirping in the morning. Meet Evelyn, a vibrant 78-year-old artist who has spent decades creating beautiful paintings and enjoying life at her own pace. She loves her daily walks in the park, visiting the local farmers market, and meeting up with friends for coffee. But there's one friend who always manages to take their time together in a different direction. Whenever Evelyn catches up with her friend, it's the same routine. Her friend, with a sigh of nostalgia, begins, "Remember when we used to?" And the stories start pouring out. Whether it's about the days when they would travel the world together or how much simpler life was when they first met, her friend can't seem to stop living in the past. At first, Evelyn enjoyed the trips down memory lane. After all, they had shared some incredible adventures. But over time, Evelyn started noticing that her friend's tendency to dwell on the past was beginning to dominate every conversation. There was no room for talking about current events, hobbies, or the exciting things happening in their lives now. It began to feel as if her friend couldn't see the beauty in today. Everything was compared to a better time that only seemed to exist in the past. Evelyn, who was still painting, creating, and enjoying her life, started to feel like she was being left behind in a world that no longer existed. The issue with constantly looking back is that it can prevent you from truly living in the present. Evelyn valued her memories but realized that by constantly reliving the past, her friend was missing out on the beauty of now. There's so much to appreciate about today. The chance to create new memories, the opportunity to grow, and the exciting potential of the future. The past has its place, but it shouldn't overshadow the present. Evelyn decided to gently remind her friend that while the past was precious, there was still so much to explore in the here and now. Whether it was a new art project or a fun conversation about something they'd never talked about before, there were new experiences waiting to be had. The present was full of possibilities, and the future, though uncertain, could be just as beautiful as the past. Next time you find yourself or someone around you stuck in a remember when loop, take a moment to pause, reflect, appreciate, and look forward. Life today holds its own magic, and it's up to us to make the most of it. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of insight and growth. If this resonated with you, be sure to revisit whenever you need a boost. Until next time, stay wise, stay grounded, and keep embracing the essence of life.